Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for our pre-recorded session. And this is our pre-recorded session for our first of our conference program. And this evening we're very fortunate because we have Dr. Tristram Hooley, the Reader in Career Development at the University of Derby, and he's going to take us through a preliminary program just to get our interest going around developing career learning online. So welcome, Tristram, and we know that it's quite early in the morning there in the UK. Thanks for being with us here this evening. And we'll hand the microphone over to you and ask you to get started. So thanks, Tristram.
Okay, so, well, thank you for inviting me. I'm going to be really giving you a bit of a flavour of some of the things that I'm going to be talking about when I come to your conference in a couple of months. So what I think the main theme that I'm going to be talking about while I'm there is really about the interface between technology and career. And I'll just kind of try and cover some of the top level issues really as I see them. I suppose one of the things that I should say is the way I see career is very much as something that an individual has to learn and build throughout life, rather than career as something which has to be chosen once. And so I think when you start to think like that, then increasingly you have to think about where are the places in which somebody pursues their career throughout life. And one of the things I've been thinking more and more is that actually so much of our career is pursued online, and that's what I'm really going to be talking about. So, so I think for me there are really three very important changes that the internet in particular and other new technologies as well offer for career professionals. I think the first one is that it gives you new opportunities to give and receive career support. So if you're a careers professional, you can interact with clients in a whole load of new ways through the internet. But the second thing is that it actually changes the context within which career itself is enacted. So it's not just that you can access services, it's actually that the way that you develop your career has changed because of the internet. And then because of that, then it requires some new skills. And one of the things that I've started to think about is what skills firstly do career professionals need, and secondly do our clients or our students need. And I'm going to give you a sort of brief introduction to that today. So there's a kind of another thing I think it's important to flag, and it's that when you're talking about these kind of issues and you're talking about how do you use social media or how do you use the internet effectively, I think it's important that as careers professionals we can exemplify that. We can show people how to do it well. And that means, I think, that we've got a duty to attend to our own professional development, to use it to network and access learning, to use the internet as a way to interface with key stakeholders like employers and so on. I'm not going to talk about that in a lot of detail because I'm really going to focus a lot on what the implications are for clients. But I think a lot of what I'm saying for individuals is also true, particularly for careers professionals as well.
Tristram, it's Ellen. What sort of new skills do you think career professionals will need to develop?
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I think what I'm always very suspicious about is the idea that we say there's a whole load of skills that we expect young people or our clients to develop that we don't develop ourselves. I mean, so an example of that would be how do we find out about the labour market, for example. And we need to have really good skills to be able to search and interrogate various different information and databases and so on to be able to find out about the labour market. And that's a different set of skills from the ones that we might have used 10 years ago to find out about the labour market, because there's so much more information that's available, really. So, I mean, actually, here's an example. So this is a site I've pulled off, which is one of your sites, an Australian site called Career One, and it's part of Monster, which is an international sort of company. And actually, it's a huge resource for career people building their career. It's got lots and lots of vacancy information on it. It tells you about employers. It tells you about it's got lots of careers advice, lots of information about how do you build a CV and this kind of thing. Now, for an individual, that's a useful tool. Many people will use it. They'll put their CV on this kind of thing, or they'll use it to search vacancy information. But I think for a careers advisor, it actually offers you some other information, because it gives you an overview of what's going on in the labour market. So you can look at it and you can see who's hiring this month, and you can start to think about it as a tool, which is not really what Monster and Career One were intended to do. But if you think about it as a careers professional, you start to have these kind of skills about analysing online information in order to understand the labour market. So I mean, that would be an example. I'll give you some others as we go along.